half Traxos.
What's going on? This is crazy.
It's so high because we're excited. Cut my life into ribbons. That's why I cast mana short. Frustration, slow breathing. Don't try and tuck if I use this charm heating. That's why I cast mana short.
This is my last resort.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good. That was very good. I got it. God, let me get the name. Hang on. Is it Papa Roach?
It is Papa Roach. Oh, congratulations!
Yes. I was like, I can't think of the name.
That was
really good. I liked it.
Yeah, it took me forever to write it because it's such a depressing song to read and look at the words.
So what were the lyrics in there? You said, "Cut my ribbons."
No. Yeah, cut to ribbons is a magic card.
Okay, yeah.
And so it was like one of two. It was like the only notable cut card.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then mana short.
Yeah, which there was something in there that I thought was funny, and then I was gonna say something.
Don't try and tuck.
If I cast this charm,
don't try and tuck if I cut this charm heating.
Nice.
Yeah. So that part was tough. It's a really depressing song.
Very nice, Lowery.
Well, welcome to Commander Smith.
Yeah, I'm Adam Smith.
I'm Lowery Smith.
Cousins?
Sure.
Cousins, yeah.
Yeah.
Episode number
9, I think. Yeah.
Very nice. Hope. Yeah, we're almost to double digits. Holy crap.
Yeah. Thank you for listening this long and this far through.
Yeah. We've actually got a little following going now. So
we appreciate all of you listening.
Yeah.
You're all the best.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter, like we always say, at Commander Smith.
And also, not a single email has come to us yet.
So the only emails are back and forth when we're writing our script stuff.
But that's also at commandersmiths@gmail.com.
It is kind of weird to email a show, though, if you think about it. It's more of people would tweet you.
I mean, I swear they do. Like, if it's a radio show, people send in stuff, and we can
just hate stuff. No, but I mean,
that's
emails.
Fine.
Normally, people tweet you. Or
nobody
whatever.
says anything mean to us at all.
And then you can go to YouTube and subscribe to our page. We actually got a new subscriber this week, so
thank you.
We're up to number 4.
Are we? I haven't subscribed to us. I don't think.
I haven't either with mine.
I'd have to check that out.
But yeah, you can like or subscribe any of our stuff. Greatly appreciated on any site that you're listening to.
Yeah, I mean, we enjoy doing this together, and we hope that you enjoy listening to us.
Yeah, so go and do that. Today we're kind of just broken into 2 sections this today.
Yeah,
and the other thing we got to mention, this is a couple days later than we normally do it because we had a huge frickin' snowstorm.
Yeah. So, again, we're in Minnesota, and we got blasted with a blizzard over this last weekend.
Literally a blizzard. We haven't had the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, actually get a blizzard warning for a long time.
We got a legit 12 inches of snow in a 24-hour period.
Yeah,
easy.
And it's still snowing. Like, we just got another 4 inches, and I think we're supposed to get 1 to 3 inches tonight. So we are...
props to Minnesota, road clearing.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. As I've said before, I live an hour away. It did take me some time to get up here, but the roads were pretty clear. It was just a little slick out.
Well, if you think about it, when we normally do it on Friday, we only got an inch or 2, but it was ice. Because it was raining earlier, and so we're just don't even come up. We're not even going to risk it.
Yeah.
But then you drove up in 16 inches of snow on the ground. That 1 to 2 inches with ice.
Fine. Well, they've had enough time to deal with everything by that point when I drove up. But when everything's just starting to happen, if they didn't get to every because they'll throw down salt before something comes. But if they didn't get to everything,
that melt stuff on the roads and everything,
it might be pretty rough at that point.
So yeah, we're 2 days later, but I think I'm gonna get this, or we'll get this out by Monday. I think.
No, take all the credit. That's you.
No. I just have to listen. Listening through it all and making sure we edit everything is the part that takes the longest. So, but then you write up everything for us, so that's very helpful with that.
We try and.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's why if it comes out a little later, although last week's was later too, because we had stuff going on last weekend. Anyways.
So, today we're just going to try and finish up all the spoilers from Dominaria, and then we'll do the specs section.
So just
Smith
2
specs.
Smith specs. But yeah,
can we call it Smith spoilers too? Smith spoilers. Spoiling Smiths. Something. All right, we'll work on it.
Yeah. the silence you hear is Adam Smith. It's not
Disapproval.
Lambeau Field. But yeah, so just the two segments. So why don't we jump right into it? We jump, or you did want to discuss one thing with the cards.
Oh, okay. So I know that in past episode we've talked about like the legends have a different border at the top. It kind of
very cool. I like how they
looks
did
like
that.
a crown molding in a really fancy house, but just on the fancier cards of your legends.
I like that crown molding instead of the crown. I like how the crown molding is a good description of it.
And so some other things that like I've noticed, like and I'm sure everybody else did, but I just want to point it out. The commons, instead of how it's like a bronze for mythic, yellow or gold for rare. You have the silver for uncommon,
and normally
common's always been black.
And that's where we had the mix up on one of the cards because it was like, oh, this is an awesome card. And you're like, yeah, it's a common. I'm like, no, it's an uncommon. I'm like,
because the white and the silver are really close. Yeah. Because so the commons are white now in Dominaria. Not sure if that's going to be a permanent change or not. I haven't really seen or read anything on it, but I've talked with people and they're like, not realizing that change happened, and so it's almost hard to tell on a computer screen if you're not like enlarging it to see if it's like silver or white. And so the easy way to see if it's common or uncommon is like the bottom left corner,
which is funny because we just realized this. So I pointed that out to you in M25, and I was like, just look at the bottom.
And I couldn't tell the difference between commons and uncommons there.
Yeah, because the symbol's so mashed up, you couldn't really see. And then you pointed out, I was thinking that was a brand new thing for M25. And then just tonight, you're like, no, they've been doing that for a while. So we pulled out cards and like,
so looking at things. So like I looked at...
ever since the hologram.
Yeah, I believe it's ever since the hologram because I pulled out a Cons Fetch and that had it.
Yeah.
But I pulled out the like an Alara Reborn card and that did not have it.
It's funny so that I've never noticed that because I've always looked at the bottom and noticed that it shows you the number, like the number in the set.
Yeah.
And it shows you whatever number there is there, but I've never noticed the U or the C or the R or the M.
Because it wasn't relevant because you knew from the color of the set. Exactly. Now they're so similar that it's kind of hard to like tell the difference a little bit.
So now I'm definitely going to be looking down there from now on with that because
if there's any like question between it.
Exactly.
And then another thing that I actually like within the card frame, so they have what the card does. And then if there's flavor text, they'll have like a divider or a dash. And I think I actually like that. I think it visually looks good. It visually separates the two things, saying like
I
one's
think it
fun.
probably would help with new players too, because sometimes they might think that whole the font
part of it
just
was
changed.
something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, maybe that helps with it. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's pretty
creating separation. I do like it. I hope it doesn't look too busy. I think
it's just a little line.
It's just a little.
It's just a little guy.
We'll just have to. I mean, like if you're thumbing through it and you're just like, there's a ton of lines here. I can see it getting busy, but as of right now, visually, I think I really like it.
Yeah, I like the changes they've done with the cards.
Especially
like you were just saying the legendary creatures. It just looks pretty sweet. All right, so let's jump into the spoilers. Do you want to start us off with our Mythic there?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the only Mythic that we've talked about a bunch of them in the past couple episodes, but the last one we want to talk about is Multani, Yavimaya's Avatar, which is 4 colorless, 2 green, legendary creature that's elemental avatar, has reach and trample. This card gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard.
That's the crazy part there.
Yeah, that's so good in Commander.
Yeah.
And then the another part of it is it's a colorless and a green. You can return 2 lands you control to their owner's hands, and then return Multani from your graveyard to your hand.
So you don't necessarily have to have her as a commander, or even you could just let her go to the
you
graveyard.
You don't have to do the command tax. You basically just return 2 lands to your hand. In my mind, like I love this as like landfall. Like you're never running out. You're always able to bring Multani back. It feels really powerful. It can get really huge, and it's gonna have trample. It's gonna block for you with the reach.
And I mean, just in general, if you're not using any mono rocks or anything, she comes out as a 6/6 for 6.
Yeah,
at least it depends on. Maybe late game
if you have
stuff.
fetches, it's even bigger because it's in your graveyard.
Yeah, that's
any type of dredging effects or like in my mind, I want it in Sidisi Brood Tyrant right now because I'll be able to mill it and then be able to bring it back and then play more landfall cards because that's going to be my landfall deck when I actually sleeve it up.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely excited about that for landfall and then one more that we're talking about later.
So you probably wouldn't use this one necessarily as your commander though. It's a little. I like to use with land stuff green and white, so that's kind of the hard part. But green is very land heavy, so
yeah, green. I think
you
this
could definitely do it as
this
a
is
commander.
really powerful and green in my mind. Like you go Oracle of Moldaya, Azusa, Lost but Seeking.
Frickin', you could do Scape Shift and just sack all your lands and go get more lands, so she just doubles up right there. He. Would you say she?
It's an avatar.
So it.
What's wrong with that? Elemental it.
How does it reproduce?
It doesn't. It's always been around. That's why it comes back.
I know,
it doesn't reproduce. Multani was also around before. So he's kind of like a reimagined legendary creature from before. So I can't quite remember when he was printed. I want to say like Stronghold or something.
Oh, yeah.
So
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I got that bad boy. Yeah, I know what
that card wasn't that good.
No, but I have him.
But yeah, so
he's not in my rare binder,
better.
or he's not my like expensive binder. He's more in my under $1.
I got him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I separate my legendary stuff if they're not worth anything in a different binder, so I can go through and see if I want to make them as a commander
or something. So, yeah, makes sense.
All right, so now that was really our only mythic, so we'll go right into the rares, and of course I get a sweet one to pronounce, so here we go. It's white, it's Evra Halcyon? Halcyon Witness. 4 and 2 white, legendary creature, another avatar. It is a
yeah, why are you giving it
I don't know.
Like a gender?
Evra kind of sounds like a girl name. Evra.
It could be.
By me changing the name.
Elmira. I don't know why.
Lowery. We're just going to start saying names.
That's a boy's name. Boy's name.
Now, if you say it like this, Lowery. See? Sounds like a girl. Okay, anyways. 4/4 lifelink. But, tap 4, exchange your life total with Evra. I'm just going to call her Evra. With her power. So this is pretty sick. We were kind of talking about this.
Yeah, it feels really cool.
Because it's not a tap ability, and it's 4 colorless. There's no color constraints on it. So it's just 4 generic. And you attack somebody.
With a 4/4 lifelink.
Yeah, and you're at 30 life. Let's say they're at 30. You flip it and go, all right, take 30 damage. You gain 30 life. So you don't even need to flip her back.
Yeah, because you'd be up to 34.
Yeah.
And she'd be 30.
Yeah, so it's...
And then I just called her a girl as well, so we'll stick with that. But, that feels like, wow. That's in... All you have to do is get, like... Let's say you just put, like, Trample and Hexproof or Shroud on it.
Then it's pretty freaking insane.
Or just even Shroud. The only worry that I would have is the same thing as I have, like, with... is it Tree of Perdition? The green one... it's just like life total, where like if you're at 4 and it's a 30-30 and you're like getting through and they're like, I kill it. And then you're like, oh,
son of a bitch,
I killed me.
But that's the other part of it is if you have the 8 to spend, and I mean she's 6, so
you can do it again.
You're doing it your next turn. So if you at least have the 2 reserves, you just make sure that if they're gonna kill it, you go pop, it goes back, you turn back to your 30 life. Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah, being able to protect it.
Yeah. So that's how I would use it, because that is pretty scary. If you're doing it and then like, okay, please.
I'm at 30. I'm at 4, and you killed him.
Son of a bitch.
I'm dead.
So we thought that was a pretty interesting card for this. And then Lowery, next one, I believe we're into...
Teshar.
Yep.
Ancestor's Apostle. It's a 3 colorless, 1 white legendary creature, bird cleric. It's a flying 2/2. Whenever you cast a historic spell, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
This seems like it could be a little abused.
Yeah, that was why I was like, this feels like a more powerful Sun Titan.
Yeah.
Because Sun Titan is really good. Sun Titan, whenever it comes into play or you attack you get to bring a permanent card from 3 or less from your graveyard into play. This is a creature, but you're casting spells to trigger that ability.
So you can do it the turn it comes in, and you can do it multiple times.
Yeah, you can just be like, Soul Ring into Signet into and then you're just popping creatures back. Hopefully, that's kind of what the goal is in my mind.
And it's not too bad for casting.
Yeah, 4 mana seems like a really good way of like spending.
Where you can set this up where you more cast her and you have your other spells to do right then and there to pop back.
In my mind, it's not actually, you don't do it at like turn 4 or whatever. You wait until later, until you have value in your graveyard, and then you also have cards to be able to use with that.
Yeah.
So it's more of like a value engine mid game.
Yep.
After resources has been traded, and you want to be able to get stuff back.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah, I like her. Next one is Urza's
Ruinous.
Ruinous? Is
Blast.
It Ruinous?
Yeah, Ruinous.
Ruinous Blast. Now, the only reason we had this on here, we wanted to have one of the new
legendary
sorceries that's in this set. And what legendary sorceries, you can't cast them unless you have a legendary permanent in play. Is it permanent or creature? Legendary creature or planeswalker. So legendary creature, planeswalker in play. But anyways, this one's a 4 and 1 white, and it's exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. So you're everything but your commander or planeswalkers. So
yeah,
this is a good board wipe. The only reason we had this was the best of the legendary sorceries, I think.
I think there were a couple that competed.
The blue one was the extra turn one.
I personally like the extra turn one that bounces.
Just having the legendary
restriction.
It's such a big restriction to have, because you got to either have your commander out, which is nice because you do always have that option. That's not like, I got to draw it. You do have your legendary, your commander, so you can cast it.
Yeah.
But it's still putting a restriction on, if you can't get it out, you can't even cast it,
It becomes a dead card in your hand. Yeah, I think I would like these legendary sorceries a little bit better if it kind of went with the theme of the historic.
Yeah.
So being like an artifact, legend, or planeswalker in play.
Yeah.
Instead of only a legend.
Legendary,
I guess a planeswalker helps that way too, or just a legendary permanent in play would be nice.
Yeah.
So you could have a land or like an equipment that was legendary.
Or an enchantment.
But being just like specifically a creature or a planeswalker makes it a lot tougher.
Yeah. We'll have to see how this works. I don't know. I mean, would you put any of these really in your deck?
I would do Karn's Temporal Sundering, in my opinion.
I just feel like there's better extra turn cards.
Well, and where I would want to abuse that one. So it's extra turn and bounce a permanent.
Yeah. Non-land.
What I would want to do is like double that up in Riku, or with like one card that we're going to talk about, the Mirari Conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you're taking 2 turns, bouncing 2 things, and you're just going to get way ahead. Whereas Ruinous Blast here, like it doesn't get rid of other people's planeswalkers, doesn't get rid of their legendaries, like creatures. And so I feel like in Commander, you're going to have those things out, so it feels like a 5 mana kill a bunch of stuff, but not the commanders. Not the ones that you want.
Well, I mean, you're going to wipe out exile everything. I mean,
sure. The exiling part is important. I forgot about that part. Yeah.
So you're getting around your indestructibles and all that fun jazz. All right, so we're going into our blue card. We had a little bit of a
discussion on this one,
debate with this one before we did the podcast, but go ahead, Lau.
So this one's Precognition Field. It's an enchantment, 3 colorless.
Why do you
blue.
get the ones that are easy to read? I'm going to plan this out next time so that you get the
That'd
ones
be perfect.
Where I'm like, fuck, I don't know how to say that. So Lowry's now going to say
it. It's fine. So it's 3 colorless blue enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. And then you may cast the top card of your library if it's an instant or sorcery card. And then you can also pay 3 colorless mana to exile the top card of your library.
Now, I think this is pretty sweet with your top of your deck manipulation and the fact that you don't have to reveal it to everybody else. Like most cards, when you have your top of your library, it's
that you can play it. Yeah,
Oracle Multani. You put your top card of your library. If it's a land, you can play it.
So it still allows an instant to be a secret that you can cast it to be a
or any of your other cards. Because the thing with Oracle Multani, even if you draw multiple cards, each one of those you have to show so everybody knows your hand. This makes it so they don't know your hand. And there isn't a lot. You were telling me there's a couple others, but being able to cast an instant or sorcery, there are not a lot, but there's a handful of playing the top card with if it's a creature card or playing a land, but I haven't seen a lot of the instant or sorcery off the top.
So, and then the problem that I have with this card is that it is so specific with instants and sorceries. Like, you have to be really heavy on it.
Yeah.
And so,
but I mean, that kind of goes in with our next saga, because that you have to be heavy with instants and sorceries too, graveyard wise.
You just don't like. Okay, so like with this one though, you need like deck manipulation to be in play to be pretty good, because a 3 to get rid of whatever top card, which is good.
That's what I was.
The 3 cuts into casting an instant.
How many times have we come into or playing Sensei's top and our top 3 is land, and you're like, damn it, just get rid of these. To get rid of it. So I mean, it's 3 to exile it, but that's still, if you need a board wipe to save the whole freaking board, and the top card is a land, this is getting rid of,
The problem that I have with Precognition Field is it just like doesn't do enough at 4 and then 3 mana for it to like. It'd be almost. I mean, it'd be maybe too bonkers.
What do you want, Larry? You just want more. You want it to say.
I would like better cards.
Draw 5 cards when you play an instant.
So if you I'll use an example of like Talrand as an example of a commander that I would run this with. Because Talrand, whenever you play an instant or sorcery, you get a 2/2 Drake. Now, if you have stuff that you're able to play out the top
Drake
of your deck.
That's exactly the one that I want to make for my son.
Yeah, that'd be great. But the problem is like you also like I also wanted similar effects like Talrand, where like if I casted a spell, I'd get to tap down a creature or have something else happen. So when you cast one spell, multiple triggers happen.
Yeah.
But what that does is it kind of like
this is like an extension to your hand, though.
It thins out how many spells you're going to have. And so you either need to be really spell heavy to make this work really well, or be able to manipulate your the top of your library really well, or like you can really become focused with this, and that's when it becomes good. But it might just be a little too narrow for what I would enjoy.
I like it. I said why I like it.
Yeah.
I mean the top. How many? Even with Miri's Guile, except that's blue. I'm more focused on Sensei's, but there's so many times where you get those top 3, and it's just like, well, this sucks, and you keep putting the bad one to the back, and then eventually you have to draw it. Well, in this case, you could put that to the front, exile it, and draw the next card. I don't know.
It is kind of why shuffle effects are so nice.
Yeah, they are
needed in.
If you're using Sensei's
EDH.
And all that. Yep. All right, well, that was a long talk on just that one card.
Well, because that was one that
we discussed before. So then our next one is actually the saga that I just had mentioned. It is the Mirari Conjecture, and this is 4 and 1, and it's a saga, like I mentioned. The first level is return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand. Your next turn, return target sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, and then the third, when you sack it, until the end of your turn, whenever you cast an instant or a sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this one could work well with Precognition Field.
It could, yeah. So like you'd have to be a little bit more late game, because where I'd want to be doing this, like
I want this 5 mana drop. You probably is going to be a little later, I guess.
Yeah,
it depends. Also,
you've probably played an instant and a sorcery, at least one of the two by that time that you're casting it if you're casting it as quick as possible. But like where I see this doing the best is like in a green blue deck, because you have sorceries that are your ramp spells, so you're probably going to have that. And then with your blue, you're going to have some type of instant speed draw or like bouncer.
Or extra turn.
Yeah, or extra turn. Well, that'd be a sorcery. Yeah. There aren't any. I was talking instants on that.
Oh, just instants. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So you're probably going to have some sort of cheap instant that you can bring back right away. And then the next turn you bring some type of ramp back and then recast, or like you can recast that. And then when you're doubling, like that's what I want, is like a little bit of repetition in like my Riku of 2 reflection deck. I don't want only my doubling to happen with Riku, because you can target them. But if you also have the Mirari's Conjecture, you're able to like double up, and just like you're already trying to ramp pretty hard in that deck, and then you're just kind of trying to go off and get a lot of value out of that doubling. So that's why I'm really kind of excited about this card.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent saga. The sagas are meh for me. They're not like this is amazing, but they're interesting. So I'm kind of excited to try them out to see how we actually play with them.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we go into.
So we're gonna get into the black cards now. We both really kind of like this one. Torgaar, Famine, Incarnate. It is 6 colorless, 2 black, 7/6 legendary avatar. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. When Torgaar enters the battlefield, up to one target player's life total becomes half their starting life total rounded down.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I mean, especially with Commander, and you have these life gain decks and all that stuff. This controls somebody. And sacking little chump guys, you just need to sack 3 and he only costs 2.
Well, and it gets around your commander tax. It would lower that part as well.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. If you made him actually your straight up commander.
Yeah. And like he can sit down and like save you if you're about to die. So you can cast him and put yourself up to 20.
It's a good point there too.
There's a lot of really kind of cool little interactions.
If you made him actually your commander, it'd be kind of interesting. I'd be more of a heavy sack deck, like where you're working with your creature sacking and all that stuff, because then you could bring him back easily each time and be like, all right, you're down to 20. You're down to 20.
Yeah.
I'm up, like you just said, gain the life instead of. Well, it's not really gaining the life.
It feels like a really cool card. I can see it being in a similar realm of like Yahini, Undying Partisan from, what was that in? Kaladesh.
Oh, yeah.
Aether Revolt, yeah.
That's
so like you can sacrifice your creatures to make them indestructible, and whenever they have a creature, you get a 1/1 counter on them. So I can see it like
working together where
you're willing to sacrifice your creatures for the benefit to keep on moving on.
Nice. Then we get into a card. Lowery really enjoys this one. Well, it's a pretty decent card. We got Squee back. It's Squee the Immortal, and this is 1 and 2 red legendary creature goblin. You may cast Squee the Immortal from your graveyard or from exile, and it is a 2/1.
He just can't go away.
Yeah, so you never have to freaking pay the commander tax on this guy.
He just, okay, sure, he died.
All right, wait, you're going to exile him? Okay, I'll go get my land, and then I'll
you're attacking with a 10/10? I guess I'll block with his 2/1, and I'll just recast him.
He's just more annoying than anything.
Yeah, well, he's a goblin.
That's a good point there.
I mean, like, you're always, like, if you have Perforos, you're always going to be able to have that trigger, because he's a 2/1, so he dies easily as well. And then what's Skull Clamp? Skull Clamp is amazing with him because you just pay 1, kill him, draw 2, pay 3 to bring him back, and you could just rinse and repeat on that one.
And it's cool because it's casting from there. It's not like bringing to your hand, and he's actually going straight up into the freaking play.
Yeah, you can just kind of keep on doing that if you have a ton of red mana, which sometimes you can do with red with a bunch of rituals.
Yeah. It's interesting. You convinced me because I originally didn't have him on my list, and you were like, "Nah, dude." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good point."
Being able to cast him from anywhere, is just pretty crazy.
And then our next is finally we get some land stuff going here. Some making our man lands, or making our lands a little bit bigger. Or no, this actually turns them into it.
Yeah. So Sylvan Awakening. It's a sorcery, 2 colorless and a green. Until your next turn, all lands you control become 2/2 elemental creatures with reach, indestructible, and haste.
That's what I love.
They're still lands.
Yeah.
That's the indestructible part.
That's what I love. No, it's the indestructible. Because that's the scary thing whenever you change your land into man lands.
To a creature, they can still die.
But this, you get the haste, you get the indestructible, and I guess...
So they become amazing blockers.
Think of this, though. Why does it have reach? Think of that. There's no reason to have reach there because you're not blocking, and it doesn't matter.
No, you can. No, you.
It's a sorcery.
Yeah, it's a sorcery.
You can't cast it on their turn.
Yeah, there's no freaking reason.
There's no reason to have reach. I just thought of that. I was like, if anything, you give them flying, but that'd be weird to have your lands flying.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
So
I guess I didn't realize that.
Reach even in there? That doesn't make any sense at all.
We need to give these lands another keyword. What would make it seem better? But not at all better.
What else could you give it that would just would be terrible? Like,
but also, will lands do like, but not really? Like, it's a bunch of trees. Is that the only? Like, an island isn't gonna reach out and stop blocking.
I guess if they turned into, they are also considered mountains. No, that actually could help you. But reach just doesn't make any sense to me unless you can cast the sorcery at instant speed. Unless you can do
Hypersonic Dragon. Yeah, so your red, blue, green deck.
I don't know. So
it seems,
I like the card though, but the reach part just got me there.
I don't think I noticed that before. You got me.
All right. So then we go into, I believe, our green saga. Yeah. So we got the Mending of Dominaria, and this is 3 and 2 green. Put the first 1 and 2 is put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And then the last one is return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. The nice thing is they don't come into play tapped. A lot of times when you have abilities like that where I think it's it's just recent, but they bring all your lands from your graveyard. They come into play tapped, though.
Okay. Yeah, and that one's from like Shadows over Innistrad or something. That block.
Yeah. So, I mean, this makes it so you can bring it. So if you have your fetch lands or your Evolving Wild, any of that stuff.
I do find it interesting that they're trying to find different ways to bring all your lands back, because there is a World Shaper from Rivals of Ixalan as well. When it dies, you bring all your lands back from the graveyard. So it's kind of similar to the Mending of Dominaria, but it's also they're different and they're getting unique about it.
Yeah. So I think this is another interesting. The sagas are interesting. That's what I'm going to say. I dig what they're doing, the idea of them, and there is actually some manipulation. It could have been a spec card, but now it's not. The card Hex Parasite.
Oh, Hex Parasite.
Where you're able to remove counters and stuff. We did invest in that a while ago. You actually came up with that spec. Yeah. But that one jumped up because of these sagas, because then you can tap 1 or 2 life and X, and you can remove counters from any permanent. And they're pretty sweet, actually, to kill commander or planeswalkers and everything. But anyways, getting off track. Let's go to the next card.
This one is reminiscent of my first EDH deck, which was
the terrible one.
The terrible one, but it was Blackblade, and this is Blackblade Reforged. It's an equipment for 2 colorless, and then equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. You can equip a legendary creature for 3. Or a non-legendary for 7, which seems ridiculous.
That's pretty ridiculous.
That part is maybe not worth it.
The reason why I kind of dug this card was it can make your commander deck where, a lot of times we'll play and the commander isn't going to kill somebody with commander.
Yeah.
But if you have this in the deck, any commander could be killing somebody with commander damage. Because late game, you're looking at 7 mana or 8 mana out.
You turn your guy into a 9/9 or a 10/10 easy.
So 2 turns, 3 turns, and the person's dead. So that's the only reason really why we had that in there. It's not good for your other creatures, but for your commander.
Or just, you can have other legendaries.
Well, I guess, legendary, But the commander damage was my main focus with that, thinking that it could work.
And I do want to play this card in my, Tajik Blade of the Boros, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. No, he's cool. He's a 2/2 indestructible, and he'll get, become a 7/7 if you're, attacking with 2 or 3 other creatures. But generally in that deck, I'm not really attacking.
Yeah.
I didn't base it around that. I based it around indestructible.
This will go in my equipment deck. The 2 equipments in this set are going in.
What is the commander for that one?
Oh, you're an asshole. I'm going to the next card. Thran Temporal Gateway. This is an artifact, 4 colorless to come out. Legendary artifact. Now, this is like a Quicksilver Amulet, except Quicksilver Amulet is bringing a creature. This is the other part of it. Tap 4, tap it, put a historic permanent from your hand onto the battlefield. So artifacts, legendaries, or sagas.
Yeah.
So we're getting all the other stuff that it gets to bring out. So you bring out your Planeswalker that costs 7 or 8.
Yeah, Karn or Ugin.
And it's at instant speed, but you really want your activation ability with your...
But if you had a Karn or Ugin on turn 5, and then you did it at the end of the turn so that you were able to get away from...
You think modern decks will use this?
To
cheat out Karn?
They could.
Karn and Ugin, that'd be a new Tron piece kind of thing. Just having the 4.
There's potential for it, but eight is a lot tougher.
Deck a little bit.
Eight's a lot tougher to hit than 7. So like Karn generally is hit really easily. So you'll have, like, I've seen some decks go from 1 to 4 with Karn, but Ugin's normally just 1.
Yeah.
Because that 8th mana in Thran is a lot tougher to get than 7.
Yeah.
So.
Keeping with the artifacts, let's go with this big ass dinosaur. Well, it's a construct, but he looks like a dinosaur.
Traxos, Scourge of Kroog. It's a 4 mana artifact, legendary artifact creature construct, 7/7 trample. That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, for 4.
It enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. What? Whenever you can cast a historic spell, untap Traxos.
What's going on? This is crazy.
It's so trample high because we're excited. Toast came.
The Toast came.
We're excited.
Who's Toast? He came?
We are. All over the place.
Gross.
7/7. So it's a 7/7 trample. It comes into play tapped, and it'll untap when you cast historic spell. So artifacts, legendaries, sagas. I think that seems like semi-abusable somehow.
I think you can. I mean, Cryptolith Right, which is a spoiler of... a spoiler of a spec that I'm going to have, but you can use him as mana, bring out something, untap him, tap. There's a bunch of different things you could use. And he's a 7/7.
Oh man, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's very similar to the idea of Nettle Sentinel. So you untap it whenever you're casting a green spell, and then you're able to tap it for mana with another elf out that allows you to tap it. So like maybe there's something like that going on, but just like you can let's say you play a historic spell, untap, attack with a 7/7 trample, and then you just play another historic spell, and then you have a 7/7 blocking. Yeah. That seems pretty dang good just in itself, not abusing it.
I think the only thing I was missing from it... Oh, never mind. I actually forgot that it had trample. So
I was like,
the only thing it has missing is trample, and then I just scrolled down. I was like, oh, no, never mind.
4 mana trample. 7/7 is ridiculous.
It's insane. All right, and then our last rare is Oath of Teferi. This is 3, a white, and a blue legendary enchantment. When Oath of Teferi enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent you control, return it to the battlefield under your owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. But that's not the good part. The really cool part is you may...
That part's still pretty good.
It's still good, but this part's ridiculous. You may activate loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than only once. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. So...
That's insane.
Have you, I know that I convinced you to do this one. I
completely missed it. When we got into the multicolor stuff, I just assumed we had talked about it.
Because we did a whole episode on multicolored. Yeah, but this one was added a little bit later. So, in my mind, I want to use this in, Brago King Eternal. Remember that deck that I had a couple years ago?
Did you kill it?
Yeah, that one's dead.
Yeah, you can't make it.
But think about this, though. So you have a Planeswalker out. You activate that loyalty ability. Then you play Oath of Teferi, and then you bounce that, or you blink
so you can do
Planeswalker
it again.
have it come into play. Then you get to do it twice.
Yeah.
So you could activate Planeswalker 3 times in one turn when this comes into play. And if you have Brago out, you could do it 4 times.
Oh, it is at the beginning of your next end. Oh,
is it at the beginning?
Beginning of your next end step. So you can't. You're just trying to break things.
Yeah. That would have been so sweet.
Yeah, the beginning of next end step, so you wouldn't be able to do that unless you're able to do isn't there something that you can activate planeswalker abilities at instant speed on other people's turns? Then you could do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Larry just got sad.
He
just got really sad. His magic boner.
We can cut that part. Let's cut that one.
I am not editing that out.
You need to learn how to read cards, Larry. You're a big dumb dummy.
All right, that does it for our rares. We're going to jump into the uncommons, and we'll start off right away with... Oh, wait, you're the reader on this one, aren't you?
Am I?
I think so.
I did Traxos. Oh,
no, I just did Oath of Teferi.
Okay. All right. Do we want to do Board the
Weatherlight? I can
Weatherlight?
read this one. This one I know how to read. This one's really easy.
I'll let you do it.
Board the Weatherlight. It is...
Are you sure?
I will come to your house and cut you.
I would appreciate that. It's pretty dangerous driving out there.
One and one white. It's a sorcery, but look at the top 5 cards of your library. May reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest the bottom of your library in a random order. So just manipulating the top with a white card that you're able to not draw all 5, but you're looking at the top 5 for a historic spell. So
that just seems really good in like a mono white deck. There's not a lot of dig in mono white that can do something like that, and that just feels really powerful for 2 mana.
Yep,
I like it.
And then we jump into our removal. Of course, white has removal.
Yeah, Seal Away, which is an enchantment for a colorless and a white. It has flash. When it enters the battlefield, exile target tapped creature an opponent controls until Seal Away leaves the battlefield. So it's like an instant speed O-ring.
Yeah.
But it's also like...
well, not because it's only creature, right?
But it's a tapped creature.
Tapped.
So it's like Assassinate...
in a way.
For instant speed, but like it could come back.
And if you're using enchantments as to your benefit with certain cards, it stays in play. I mean, well, I guess if it leaves the battlefield, then it'll come back. But still, yeah, it's like an O-ring, like you were saying.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar like that. Like I think it's probably good against like tokens if you're able to blink it. So they're attacking with the token, then you play this. Token's never going to come back, and then you somehow blink this for another tapped creature.
Now that we're talking about it more, I'm like, I don't like this card as much anymore.
You don't like Sealed Away?
No, I'm not digging it as much because you have to get it tapped. I mean,
they have to attack. So if it's like a creature with vigilance,
you're effed. But I mean, that's not a lot.
Or if it's a creature they're not going to attack with that you want to get rid of.
Yeah, I like things where you can target anything instead of waiting for it to tap.
Yeah, that's clearly.
So now that we're talking this over, let's edit this one out. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd be okay with that.
Oh man, why do I get this one? All right, so we go into blue. Tetsuko Yumazawa Fugitive. Yeah, okay, I got it. 1 and 1 blue, legendary creature, human rogue. Creatures you control with power or toughness, 1 or less, cannot be blocked. That's kind of, I feel like you could just fill your deck up with ones and ones.
Yeah. No, do you know, like, so they're like these, they don't print a whole ton, but there are like these creatures that like can switch power and toughness.
Oh yeah.
And generally it's like a 1/7 turning, and then you can just switch it into
a 7/1. It is a lot of, it's blue. It's a lot of blue that does that.
It's a lot of blue. There's like a turtle from
isn't it
World Wait that a landfall turn it into a 4/1 instead of a 1/4. No matter what, it's unblockable with this guy out.
Well, and what about the Morphling stuff? Can't you put minus stuff on those, or God, I can't remember. No?
I'm not sure. I'm not going to say that can't or doesn't happen, but
cool story, Hansel.
I just think you're making fun of me for trying to like cover for you. Jerk.
Just got quite an error.
I think this guy is going to be really good in the Emissary I Trust. The guy the green blue elf. You had the deck. I don't know if you have it anymore.
Oh yeah. Drawing. Yeah. Where if people hit other players, that player gets to draw. Anybody but you. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about? That elf deck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just make it, guys. He's a 1/3, I believe.
I think it's a 2/2, but in that type of deck.
Yeah, where you're making really all your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I was thinking he'd be really good at.
And the thing is it can be power or toughness, so you could just make something that's like a friggin' 9/10/1.
Yeah, a 9/1.
But I mean that doesn't come by very often. Anyways, I think we get into our black removal.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's talking about this one.
Yeah.
So
this, I mean, potentially has.
It could knock out Fatal Push for modern removal. Cast Down. It's a colorless and a black instant. Destroy target non-legendary creature.
So there, I mean, Modern does play with legendaries, but not as much as Commander. So this isn't as strong, I think, in Commander. But I could see
in
this
Modern, this is pretty solid.
Used a lot.
I don't know if it's going to replace Fatal Push. I think Fatal Push at 1 mana is really important.
Yeah. Its drawbacks are a little bit, but in Modern you're so quick with stuff that that actually doesn't hinder it too much.
So, but they might be able to work in conjunction with your removal package.
Yeah. You said package.
I knew
you knew it. You stopped even talking.
I've had comments that we go to potty humor too quick.
Really?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Guess what? Pee pee poo poo ha 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 you.
Yoga pants. All right, next one is actually both. This one's, I love this card actually, and this is an uncommon, but it's Fungal Plots.
Yeah.
It is 1 and 1 green enchantment. Tap 1 and 1 green, and you don't need to tap it, but exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a 1/1 Saproling token. You can sacrifice 2 Saprolings, you gain 2 life, and also draw a card. That's freaking crazy.
That does so much for a 2-mana enchantment.
Yeah. And you're removing its exile. Oh, it is from your graveyard.
From
so
your
you
graveyard,
do have to have stuff in there. I actually thought for a second it was like scavenging ooze a little bit there, but still, most likely you're going to have some creatures in there. Remove them. You get a Saproling. Even if you don't remove it, the sacrificing 2 Saprolings, if you're built and they're
with Saprolings, gaining 2 life and drawing a card is pretty good. And then if you're doing it with the Stowaway, Slimefoot Stowaway, that's the uncommon legend in this. You also gain 2 life, and they lost 2 life.
Yeah. And it's not a tap ability to do this. Like, you just sacrifice it.
Can sacrifice. You can chump block with 2 of them, sacrifice them for value.
Yeah. All right, and then we get into our green legendary creature. This guy's pretty badass.
I think he's really cool. I'm going to call him Grun, the Lonely King.
Well, what else would you call him?
It could be Groon. Get a little. He feels really
There's
German.
2 N's, so it's more. I feel like you have an emphasis on the N.
Grun.
Groon. I could tell you didn't say his name long enough because you didn't say that second N.
He's a lonely king. He likes long beach walks.
Beaches?
So, long beaches. Because
did
then
you say bitches
into...
or beaches? Beaches?
I wouldn't say that B word. That's mean. So it's 4 mana, 2 green, legendary creature, Ape Warrior. It's a 5/5, and it has kicker 3, colorless. If Grun was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 5 1/1 counters on it. Cool part here. Whenever Grun attacks alone, double its power and toughness until end of turn. So whenever he attacks alone, no matter what, he's going to be a 10/10.
If you kicked it,
it's
10/10. But if you kicked it, it's a 20/20.
If he attacks alone.
Now you know what he's missing.
What?
Trample.
No. I can see that as well.
No, don't give him trample.
Giving him trample might be ridiculous. But like
he could be in a counter heavy deck, like 1/1 counter kind of deck if you're building around him.
Yep. You can just have like equipment that pump for really cheap and easy. The thing that I was kind of wishing, he is an Ape Warrior, and I believe this is the first like ape that's a legend. And so I wish it was also red somehow. Because there are red, like
Simeon.
apes are red and green.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wish they were able to fit, like, in my mind, like, give it a red ability to give it haste or something.
Oh, that'd be crazy, though.
Yeah, that'd be, well.
Give it fire breathing. That would have been pretty crazy.
Apes don't have fire breathing.
Well, it's red. Then you just have fire coming out of its mouth.
But it'd be like 7 mana for a 5/5 haste that can turn into a 10/10 if it's attacking alone. I don't know if that's fair.
We're debating a non-existing card.
Yeah.
You know what? If this ape had wings, and so it could fly,
it wouldn't be an ape.
Then it could be red.
Why do you bring up dragon stuff?
I love dragons.
It's an ape.
All right. Anyways, I like it though. Yeah, if you did a red, I can see what you're talking about, Lowery. I agree.
Yeah. I just want. It could have just been red, green, 4 colorless. And we could have done that too.
All right.
I'm going to talk with the Wizards.
Song of Frailes. Tap 1 and 1 green. It is another saga. The first 2 abilities. We got a lot of these where it's the first 2. But it's until your next turn, creatures you control. That's kind of cool that it's your next turn. It's not just your turn. Until your next turn, creatures you control gain tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool.
So do that once, twice.
So it's a Cryptolith right there.
For 2 turns.
Yep. And then your third turn, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible until end of turn. But they do get a 1/1 counter.
Yeah.
So they always have that. The other parts is let's just ramp and kill everybody with that, and they won't die because they're indestructible.
And so, like...
And Vigilance. You don't have to worry about them freaking tapping. And Trample. That's crazy!
You know what? I wish you could pay a red and then give it haste.
Give it fire breathing.
Yeah, fire breathing, wings all over the place. Why don't they have flying? No, I think this is a really powerful card too. The only like worry that I have about this kind of card is like people know that you're going to have like
that you're going to be attacking
that 1/1. Yeah, that turn you're going to be trying to get as many.
So they're going to try to wipe your stuff out.
Yeah, I can see them. I can see you trying to overextend into this board so that you can get a bigger bonus, and then people picking off your guys and you're losing more value off of it.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. The problem that I see.
I feel the first two are, good enough to build. Like you got your. It's, I mean, it's a cripple.
The problem is you don't want to overextend into a board wipe right before you get your bonus. Because then it's just like wah wah, and then you're down a lot of hand.
Dang it!
So I can see that being a little bit of a problem, and you're probably going to want to be a little careful about that, depending on who you're playing with at that point.
But at the same point, it is a 2-drop too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it just can help you ramp into some crazy stuff, like just bigger guys.
If you have your tokens out, I mean, you could use those right away to
tap,
to get your stuff going. And then we get into our legendary creature, because we talked about most of the legendary multicolored creatures, but this one we didn't have the picture of this one, or no, this one came later, wasn't it? Are
we talking about
Tatiova?
She's Russian.
Tatiova.
Benethic Druid. This one came in later. I'm really excited about this one. I feel like this is going to land in my landfall deck as well with Sidisi.
Land in your landfall deck.
But so it's 3 colorless and a green and a blue for 3/3. And again, one of these cards that don't say landfall, but it's landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain a life and draw a card. So landfall, draw a card, gain a life.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Seems really good.
I mean, we don't need to break it down too much because it's just good.
It's just a really solid. You're going to play lands.
Yeah.
Thusly, you're going to gain life and draw cards. If I see somebody playing this in any type of ramp deck, I got to kill it.
Yeah, as a commander, I think this one would be fun to play.
And it's a legend. Yeah, so it can easily be a solid legend.
Uncommon commanders, I almost feel, are not better than the rares and mythics, but they're freaking good, like, in this whole thing.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the uncommons in this set, I think.
Yep. And then now we get into our 2 commons that we're going to talk about. You
want to talk about the first one?
The first one, what do we have there? It's
a little birdie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I know you like that one.
This one's sweet. So it's Artificer's Assistant, and it's 1 blue for a 1/1 flying. Whenever you cast a historic spell, scry 1. That's just... It's crazy.
It's simple. It's sweet. It's just, a little...
It's not that threatening where people are going to try to kill this guy, but it can do a lot for you.
Yeah, just at 1 mana, this is going to get you a lot of value in that style of deck with the historic spells.
Yeah. And then
it's kind of like a glue card. It's...
Yeah, totally.
It's nothing you're going to kill anybody with, but it's just something that's going to add consistency into your deck.
Yep.
And so...
And then our last one is our green... looking at our... Not searching.
We both kind of saw this. This is the one
thought was uncommon. This is one I thought was uncommon, yep.
So Adventurous Impulse. It's 1 green for a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
So, I mean...
Another glue card for green. If you're in mono green, that's a solid card. It can get you a land if you need it. It gets you a creature, a gas if you need it. The versatility of it and the simplicity of it really works, I think, pretty well.
Yeah. So, that is our spoilers. I think that wraps up everything. It was 3 weeks of spoilers.
I feel like we should talk about some of the shitty commons.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, you can sit down and listen to some of the spoiler talk where they go through every card, and they're like, you can use this in modern. Is it legacy playable? Is it EDH? And I swear, 90% of these cards, I'd play this in limited. It's like, yeah, you got to play every card in limited. Like, I don't want to play cards in limited. Like, I'm not excited about cards for limited.
No, we were just breaking down mainly the commander ones that we thought. I mean, there's a couple of them.
Something that could be interesting to work with in EDH.
But this whole freaking set is for commander. Like, it's just pretty crazy. All right, so we move into our second segment. On our last segment, we only had 2 segments because that was really long.
That's what we got,
so we will get into our Smith specs of the week. Right?
Did we slow that down on purpose?
I don't know why I did that. I was hoping you might jump in with me. And I wanted the echo
the echo is a cool thing. We should probably do that more often.
Smith specs of the
Can we add that in on post-production? Can we do that?
Week. Okay, so I'm going to cut that up and put that in. No, I'm just kidding. All right, anyway, so I started off with my spec this week. And actually, I think this spec, actually I talked about it earlier, just a little bit ago. Cryptolith Right, which is a enchantment, 1 colorless, 1 green. Creatures you control have tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Now, I'm focused on the foils of this one. I actually have invested in the non-foils a while back, and those are starting to creep up. So, let me take that back. Foils and non-foils I would go after on this. Your non-foils are about $275, and your foils are at $650. The foil jumped just recently, but it's still at a fair price for what this card does. And there's a very low inventory. I bought a couple today, and there was probably only 20 copies left of both
on TCG.
On both the regular foils and your game day or your pre-release foils. Okay. So a total of 20 was left, and then the price jumps. So I mean, your later ones are in the $20 range. Okay. So like the cheap. The reasonably priced like ones. $6, $7 ones. So you could probably find them cheaper at other sites, like if you go to Channel Fireball and you know what? Or whatever. I
always find that I feel like this card is really good. Like when I first saw it, I just looked at it and went, all of your spells have Convoke.
Yeah. And that's to top it off, 9,300 EDH decks on EDH Rec.
On EDH Rec,
use it? Pretty
that's
crazy.
Quite a bit,
yeah.
For a utility card, yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It's a pretty crazy card, but like I said, recently it jumped a couple bucks. I mean, it went from $4 up to, like I said, it was $650. But I still think that's a good buy. I think it's only going to go up, and your regulars are on the rise. They've just been continuously going up. Yeah. So
I can definitely see that. I think that's a solid pick.
And Lowery, what's yours? I like this one.
This one,
I said it at the beginning. I like this one. Your other ones, I don't.
So this one, I really like it. Sickening Shoal. It's from Betrayers of Kamigawa. So it's X and 2 black. Instant Arcane. You may remove a black card with converted mana cost X in your hand from the game rather than pay Sickening Shoal's mana cost. And then the X is target creature gets -X until end of turn. So
that's a pretty good.
All of the other shoals are like over $3, $4 or $5. Like they're really good and well used. The red one is actually cheap, but it's banned in Modern. It was the first banning after the first GP.
Oh,
back
really?
In Philadelphia, yeah. So it was in a sick like Infect deck. That one was remove a red card from your hand and then give a creature +1/+0 or +X/+0.
Oh, so for the X amount.
And so you'd get rid of like Progenitus and give a poison creature +10/+0, and you have counterspell backup because it's a free spell.
Oh yeah.
And so it's super crazy.
That is pretty insane.
But this one is free removal essentially, and anytime a spell is essentially free, you need to take a serious look at it. And you got to figure out, is this worth the price? I mean, you got to talk about Force of Will is one of the best cards ever printed.
And it's free.
It's a free counterspell that costs you a blue card and 1 life.
Yeah.
And so you got to, and the blue shoal is like $10-15 right now. And that's a counterspell, but it has to be like exactly right
what
for
their
X.
mana is.
And it's a blue, yeah. The green one gains you life, and that I believe is like $5
so this is the only one that really hasn't.
This is the one that hasn't jumped,
and that's the regulars you're talking about for those.
And the foil is like $5.
And I'm looking at the foils here too. They really haven't moved at that price for a while, so I would think both are pretty good. It looks like
once they're used, I think it's just going to shoot up.
There's movement since it looks like Ixalan is when it started to jump up from.
Yeah, I bought mine for 50 cents. I have my play set that's signed and it looks super sweet.
Oh, good for you, Lowery.
No, that's what I like.
Pretty sweet. But I mean, since Ixalan, it's been going up and down, but I mean, staying above where it was. Yep. And then actually, if you think about it, I mean, Betrayers of Kamigawa foils, there aren't going to be a lot of those out there.
Yeah, and actually, Saviors or Betrayers was just Kamigawa block was not well received, and it wasn't opened a ton, and people don't like it. And so there's not going to be a ton of them out there. I would agree with that.
I might have to pick that up, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so nice about this.
All right, my next one. This one's kind of a. You don't need to jump on this one right away. Like I said, with Cryptolith Right, you want to buy that as soon as possible because it's going up. And regulars both are going to go up. But this one you could buy now, or you could buy it 6 months from now. But I think eventually this one will go up. I think this is more of like a two-year hold maybe. But it's From Beyond. It's 3-1 green enchantment. It is devoid, so it isn't a color. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion into play. Sacrifice it to add 1 mana to your mana pool. But the part that's pretty interesting with it is you can tap 1 and 1 green, and you sacrifice it to search your library for an Eldrazi card and put it into your hand. Now, this card is very similar to Awakening Zone, which is in 6,200 EDH decks, and this is only in 4,800, which is still a good amount. But the foil versions of Awakening Zone are about 950, and this I got copies for under $1.
Did you?
Yeah. So this under $1, and
it has a search attached to it, and the 1/1s instead of
giving you 1/1s, but they also can be sacked for land. So but like I said, this one isn't gonna go up really soon, so you have time to get on this one. But I think it's one that I don't think it's not going any lower. It hasn't gone down. It's pretty much at the bottom, and it's just sitting there at about $1. So
yeah, I think that can be. It's a solid card. I remember seeing it when it was first printed, and going, "That's a quite a good card."
Yeah.
And just being able to search for like that 1 or 2 Eldrazi that you have in your deck, be it the big fatties that are ridiculous with Annihilator, or just more fair ones like Pathways or Ulamog or whatever.
Eldrazi's are pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, they're solid cards to be able to go and get.
Yeah, so and we've liked Awakening Zone for a while, and this is a very similar one with the search engine on it. So, next one, Larry.
So I know a lot of people know about this one, Exquisite Blood, Avacyn Restored. So I'm talking about the foil here. It is a 4 colorless black enchantment. 1 black. Whenever your opponent loses life, you gain that much life.
Why would you be talking about this one, Lowery? Because this is high priced for a spec. No, I'm just kidding. This is interesting though, because when you told me and I pulled it up, I'm like, you're talking about the foils? They're $25.
Yeah. So the foils are $25, but the non-foils are like $19.
Yeah, so it's
and
not
so
that
there's
far.
like a discrepancy between foil and non-foil, and generally foils are going to be a lot more than your non-foils.
And for some reason, this one's only a $5 difference.
It doesn't. So if you're going to go out and buy an Exquisite Blood, get the foil.
Yeah.
Like it just makes sense to go and get that.
Yeah.
Because it. This
I might
combo,
sell my regular one and get the foil instead.
And this is an infinite combo with Sanguine Bond.
Yeah, those 2 cards, and you just
all they have to do is lose 1 life. You gain the life, then it just rinse and repeat, and they die.
Yeah, we've had that happen, but then we've been taking those out. We don't want both of them. And I never have either. I have one or the other in a deck.
Yeah,
but that's a good
price discrepancy. Either your non-foils are too high. Or your foils are highly undervalued at this point.
Do you feel like this... I feel like this card has a potential reprint at some point, but I feel like it's going to be more of a commander thing, so I feel like the foils are probably still a safe bet. And actually, I would think if it gets printed in a commander set, that the foils will go up even more because they're even more rare to come by,
Yeah.
I don't see it in an actual set necessarily soon, but... I don't know. What do you think?
The thing that I have thought about, like when I'm looking at it, I think the reason why it's so high is that it's not reprinted, but Sanguine Bond is like reprinted like 5 times at this point. It was M10, M14, Iconic Masters, and that's 3 different foil prices. And then you also have like it was in a Commander product, I want to say, and then maybe even something else. And so I feel like they've focused more on... It was in
Commander 2013, 2017, more M10, Iconic Masters, M14.
Yeah.
That one has 1, 2, 3 foil printings.
Foils. So I feel like they focused on Sanguine Bond out of the combo.
Yeah, but that's why I feel like they might jump on at some point with it. But the thing is what you're saying still fits, because if they actually make it go into a commander set, there's no foil there because they don't foil out your commander stuff besides the commanders.
It's always pretty tough to figure out.
But what I'm saying is that I feel like the price of the foil would go up then.
Yeah.
because then your EDH people are like, well, yeah, I got that, but now I want the foil version of that. So I agree. That's a definite. I am seriously thinking about selling my regular one and paying the $5 extra just to get the foil.
I actually don't own one, and again, like, I'm pretty cheap, so I have a lot of good cards, but I got really lucky, and I've you get good deals when you go to the card shop. Yeah,
so
I make sure that I try and get a deal. I try and that's why we do the speculation, and I generally try and pick cheaper cards that I think are undervalued, so that when they do get realized as being good, you know that you've kind of gained. It was worth the buy because you're like, if you buy $1 card and then all of a sudden it's $5, I don't want a $5 card. I want a $1 card.
Yeah.
That's worth $5.
Yeah, and
that's
so
generally what I try and look at.
So that's how we were doing it. We do it all this, or have done it for most of the time. But then what it started happening with me is that I'm selling. You don't sell yours; you trade yours more than anything.
Mine. Yep.
So when I sell mine, it's just a hassle more to have these like ones that I bought for 25 cents and now they're $3, and then I'm putting it. I'm just selling one at a time. And so it's like,
it's harder to move.
The turnaround on that is, the moving it's not that beneficial. Whereas if I buy a card, like when I did, I think it's Patriarch's Bidding, the black one. So I bought 3 of those for foil at $30 a piece, and then they jumped up to 50. So I kept one of them, and then I sold the 2 and I broke even for the most part, but I gained a freaking $50 card. Yeah,
and I think that makes sense.
But so it's just two different ways of speccing, which they're both good because I do both of them. Like I've started to go to the more higher stuff lately, just because I'm trying to get use of my time a little better, because I actually try to sell them and not.
And like a different example of my trading part, like I had a bunch of Spreading Seas that I thought it was a solid card when it was in Standard. They started using it in Merfolk. It gets up to 50, 75 cents whenever I see it in the the jank bin. I pick it up for 20 cents or whatever, and I ended up with like 15 of them, and I've traded it off everything but 4, and like I just traded 3 of them for a Kalidas from Zendikar. That's nice. A $10 card. I spent 60 cents on that trade plus shipping. You know what I mean? Like
the trading, I wish. So it's kind of funny because we both have different aspects of it, because I don't do any of the trading. Like the only trading I've done is Puka, where Puka went to crap, and then it was just like, okay, I'll trade you this card if you trade me this, and we trade points or whatever. But I didn't really get into Salvation doing that, and then you're doing
I do
Deckbox?
Deckbox.org. It's a little slow, but it's not bad. I'll probably be up to 11 trades since November, which is, I kind of fell off in January, February. I wasn't really active there. And then you kind of pointed out Card Sphere, which is similar setup to Puka, but it's actual money, and you actually can kind of cash out
if you want to.
And that feels really good to me. Like right now, I've sent out. I started last week. I sent out a couple packages before I even knew that I had money in my account per se.
You were already.
I had other cards coming to me. That is really encouraging in my mind. And again,
the hard part is I just put my whole collection from Puka Trade on there, and there's one I'm like, oh, this guy is gonna give me $25, and I looked and it's 3,000 card. No, it's 1,300 cards I gotta send him. I was like, the size of that is gonna cost me like $20 because it's gonna be so freaking heavy. So I don't know. I don't have. You actually have more expensive cards that you're trading with it, so that's. I need to get into.
I don't like to trade too much over like $5-6, but I don't expect anything over 10-15 to get back.
Yeah.
So I try and I'm not asking to trade. Again, I'm not trying to trade 300 lightning bolts for an underground sea. Like, you got to be reasonable about this stuff, and you got to make sure that there's a value, intrinsic value into what you're trying to trade for. Yeah. So,
I know we're going a little long with this, but that's all right. One other thing I mentioned to you this week that I did for people that have bulk stuff.
Oh yeah.
Card Kingdom is another interesting way to do things. They'll buy your bulk stuff, but they have to need it. So, Lake of the Dead, a card that we spec'd on 2 years ago, 2016 spring around this time, We both bought a bunch of them for $4 or under. They're beat up. I mean, that's an old set. It's Alliances,
yeah.
Alliances. And now it's up to $50. On eBay, you can sell them for $40, so you can actually find them on eBay for $40. But when you go on a TCG, they're at $50. Well, Card Kingdom was taking them for $57 if you do store credit through them. So I did that with 5 of them. I still have 5 left. And then I did a bunch of other specs that didn't necessarily work out, or not work out, I should say. They're
not hard to move.
I have a ton of them. Like I had 300 Open the Armories, which is the...
Yeah, that's too many.
Yeah, so I dumped 158 to them for 10 cents a piece, whatever, but I got some money out of it, and I'm actually going to reinvest. So I'm getting about $500 worth of stuff from
and you
Card
found,
Kingdom.
you kind of came up with the idea of Card Kingdom from like another podcast.
Yeah, another podcast mentioned that they dumped their bulk on there, and I was like, I've never done that before, so I kind of looked into it, and I went through all my specs of ones that I was willing to dump, that I was like, okay, it's time to move on from this, and I came up to, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Lake of the Dead's got me to 210, but then the other specs that I was willing to dump got me over 500. So,
which is quite a bit.
Yeah. So anyways, that kind of leads into why I got into this next spec, because I did dump the regulars of this. It's Cryptghast, and what Cryptghast is, he's 3 and 1 black. It is a creature spirit. He has Extort, which means when you play cast a spell, you can pay a white or a black. Each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain that much life. But the key to this guy is whenever you tap a swamp for mana, it doesn't have to be a basic swamp, you get to add an additional swamp to your mana pool. Now, this card is very similar to Nirkana. But Nirkana right now is a like $25 card. $25. Foil is at $42. She's only in 4,000 EDH decks because of how expensive she is.
She's a foil from Rise of Eldrazi.
Now, this bad boy's in 17,000 EDH decks.
Which is quite a bit.
That is...
much more.
Yeah, pretty much every black deck.
Yeah.
But there's only 1 foil printing of him. Been printed twice. So that's what I sold, was actually my regulars of Commander and whatever. And those are actually on the rise. So this is actually... I'm saying foil, but it's for both, because they're going on the rise. So my plan is actually... I sold these to buy into the foils, because I feel like those are going to go up so much more, because there's only 1 printing compared to the 2 printings of the regulars. So
yeah.
That's...
And I've played with this card, and it's, I think I had a turn 3 or 4 Shieldred Whispering one on a 4-person table. Yeah. And everybody hated me. But then I actually ran out of gas, and so I couldn't do anything, but they kept on sacking stuff, and to be honest, it's a really good card.
To be honest with you, I like this better than Nirkana, because Nirkana's 6. And this
6
is
mana
4.
To come out. This is 4.
And you have the life gain and making people lose life ability of that. Nirkana can
extort. Yeah.
Nirkana can get big, because you can pump
it's
her.
A shade.
Yeah. And so you can give her 1+1 for each black you tap. But I like this card a lot. And I didn't mention the regulars are 3, the foils are 8 right now. So there's they're very close in price. So you can pick these up. No, I picked them up for 8. So it says it on Goldfish that it's 11, but I'm telling you what I bought them for today, and they're at $8. So I would pick up these, and there is a low supply of these as well. But you could go either way with this. I'm focused on the foils right now, because I think those are going to get up to 20 at least.
Okay.
So that was my last spec. Lowery.
Yeah, I think it's a really good one. One that me and you have actually talked about a long time ago. It's Beck Call from Dragon's Maze. So it is
his iPad's changing. He's trying to look at it, and then it changed, so I couldn't see it.
So back, it's a fusion card, and so it's green-blue for Beck, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card. And then Call is 4 colorless, white-blue. Put 4/1/1 white birds into play, into the battlefield. And so the big thing is Beck.
Yeah, because it's a very similar card to... what is it? It is...
It's a Champions of Kamigawa. I should know it, but it's banned in Modern. So it goes in Legacy Elves. And so you can get a Modern Elves that's kind of green-blue that I think can be pretty similar and work with this. Just nobody's done it yet, because generally they put black-green. But just being able to like spit out elves, draw more elves, and be able to continue to play them seems quite good.
The part that sucked was that they changed it. Remember?
Yeah, so there was a rule that like
Glimpse of Nature.
Yeah, Glimpse of Nature is 1 green sorcery, and then whenever you have a creature come into play, you draw a card. So this is 1 blue more, which is significant.
Yeah. The part that's hard with it is that for EDH, you have to be playing 3 color. No, yeah, 3 colors. Yeah,
3 colors for this one. So it kind of limits it for the EDH aspect. But for Modern, I think there could be potential for an Elves deck.
I built that deck with Modern with this.
Yeah.
With the freaking... But then they changed the
rules.
There's
a rules change with the expertises from Aether Revolt. Yeah, Aether Revolt. And so, like, what it used to be was when you casted back for 2, it'd be an 8 mana spell. Or no, you could cast the expertise for 3 or 4. You could cast
a spell for free. And it would do the entire spell, so you could do both sides of it. So this one and Breaking and Entering were the 2 we kind of jumped in on.
Yeah, we had already had them beforehand.
Yeah.
We thought they were good enough. Sorry. I still think they're good enough.
Yeah, definitely. No, we had them before,
but they were
because
broken before
you mentioned this was both your specs. I think this one and the Breaking and Entering was you saying this card's just like this card, and this one's just like this card. Because Breaking and Entering, anyways, we can talk about that one later.
So the foil's sitting at about $2.50, regulars under 70-80 cents.
Foils probably go for this one.
I'd probably say go for foils. They're cheap enough that you can get a bunch of them for a good price.
Yeah, dig it. I already have it, so I'm not going to go and buy some more.
You already know it's a good one, hopefully.
Yeah. Maybe. So that does it for our podcast, right?
Yeah. I think that was it.
We're at the end. We are very long with this one, but we had to get all those.
We're about on this. This is actually normal.
A little hour and 15.
Yeah. No, I think we're like 100, an hour 10.
100.
100. I'm looking at the screen. We're normally 1,175.
Let's get the seconds. But yeah, so we went a little longer than our average, whatever. Normal, longer. Words aren't working because it's late. But yeah, Dominaria cards, lots of them.
You kind of
specs.
Enjoyed it. Cut my life into pizza.
That would have been better.
Yeah, but that would.
But it wouldn't do anything with magic. Yeah.
All right. I saw a meme on that one. No, I was like, they're stealing my song.
All right, so yeah, you can follow us once again at Twitter, at Commander Smiths, actually, not at Twitter. You can follow us at Twitter.
And then you can email us at commandersmiths@gmail.com.
Or follow us on Twitter.
You already said Twitter. Did you want to say Twitter again?
No, we're not going to do that again.
You gross.
Did you get yelled at? Did I what?
Did you get yelled at?
No, I didn't get yelled at.
Kids on your block? You're such a twatterhead.
I started something. But yeah, you can follow us just watch us on YouTube. Dang it. Gosh. We're going to have dueling boxes coming up soon.
Oh, yeah. So we have Dominaria box coming. We'll do that dueling box thing again.
And then I think the next podcast will be right after our pre-release.
Yeah, we plan on going to the pre-release next weekend. I think we're choosing a Sunday, so it's going to be another later release. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really freaking excited about this. So we got a couple of our play group is going too. I think,
we got a solid crew,
Trombley,
like 5-6 coming.
And Jeremy and Mark are all going, I think.
Mark.
I didn't hear Tyson was going.
Nah.
Mike's going to another one. So there's quite a few of us are going to this. So I think everybody's excited. So
yeah.
Anyways, so that'll do it. I think we'll catch you guys next week.
We hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, we should. I hope so. We'll probably be doing this right after the pre-release, so we might be pretty jacked.
Yeah. Oh man, top 8, yeah. That was my cool dude
I think
voice.
I've only made top 8 one time. I've
got it twice, I think, and that's it.
So scratch.
Why did you announce you scratching your beard?
I just trimmed it. It's like itchy. I had a really big bushy beard.
Yeah,
I miss it.
And big bushy hair. He was.
I'm missing part of me.
You said you lost like 10 pounds by
I swear. At least in my face, I did.
All right, enough beard talk. We will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Right. See ya.